Imagine having 700 wives. That's not a typo. King Solomon actually had 700 wives plus 300 girlfriends on the side. But was this normal in ancient Israel? Were the ancient Israelites allowed to have many wives? Today we're diving into this fascinating aspect of Bible stories that nobody talks about at Sunday school. Ever noticed how many biblical heroes had multiple wives? It's like the ancient Israelite version of The Bachelor, except nobody got sent home. Abraham, Jacob, David, these guys weren't just spiritual giants, they were also juggling multiple marriages. But was this actually okay according to the Bible? Let's untangle this marriage mystery together. Some people believe this, while many others remain skeptical. The question is it true? The first two wives guy in the Bible, his name was Lamech, all the way back in Genesis 4:19. This dude married two women named Ada and Zillah. What's super interesting is the Bible just mentions it casually, like Lamech took two wives without any "this is wrong" commentary. It's just reported as a fact, which leaves us wondering. Take Abraham, the father of faith. When his wife Sarah couldn't have kids, she basically said, "Hey, take my servant Hagar as your second wife." Talk about an awkward situation. This created the original blended family drama when Hagar had Ishmael and then Sarah later had Isaac. Not exactly a peaceful household. Then we have Jacob, who wanted to marry Rachel but got tricked into marrying her sister Leah first. He worked 7 years to marry Rachel but got her sister Leah instead. Worst surprise ever. Instead of choosing, he just married both. Add their two servants into the mix, Bilhah and Zilpah. And Jacob ended up with 4 wives and 12 sons who became the famous 12 tribes of Israel. His brother Esau also collected wives like baseball cards. As we flip through the Bible pages, Gideon pops up with many wives. Samuel's dad Elkanah had 2 wives, Hannah and Peninnah, who definitely weren't besties. But the kings, they really took it to another level. King David had at least 8 wives whom we know by name. His son Solomon, 700 wives and 300 concubines. That's 1,000 women. Wow. Other kings like Rehoboam, Abijah, and Joash also had wife collections. Here's something that might shock you. Moses, the guy who brought down the 10 Commandments, apparently had 2 wives. He married Zipporah first and later a Cushite woman. This is mentioned in Numbers 12, though it doesn't get much attention. So, was polygamy actually allowed? Here's the mind blower. Nowhere does the Bible specifically say thou shalt not have multiple wives. The law of Moses doesn't ban it. It regulates it. For example, Deuteronomy 21:15-17 talks about inheritance rights when a man has 2 wives. It doesn't condemn the practice, but gives rules for treating the children fairly. Think about it like this. It's like finding instructions for how to safely use fireworks. Rather than banning fireworks altogether, it doesn't say don't have 2 wives, but rather, if you have 2 wives, here's how to treat their children fairly. Get this, there was even a special marriage arrangement called levirate marriage. If your brother died childless, you were commanded to marry his widow and have kids to continue his family line, even if you were already married. This wasn't optional, it was a duty. This tradition plays a key role in the story of Ruth and Boaz. The story of Ruth and Boaz, found in the book of Ruth, highlights themes of loyalty, kindness, and divine providence. Ruth, a Moabite widow, returns to Bethlehem with her mother-in-law, Naomi, who is a Jew, after losing their husbands. To provide for them, Ruth gleaned leftover grain in the fields of Boaz, a wealthy and kind landowner who was a relative of Naomi's late husband, Elimelech. Boaz, impressed by Ruth's dedication, offers her protection and extra grain. Recognizing Boaz as a potential kinsman redeemer, Naomi encourages Ruth to propose marriage to him. A kinsman redeemer is a relative who, by Jewish law, could marry the widow of a deceased relative to preserve the family line. Boaz agrees, but first ensures a closer relative of Naomi's late husband, Elimelech, relinquishes his claim. This unnamed closer relative had the first right to act as kinsman redeemer for Naomi and Ruth. Boaz approached this man, offering him the opportunity to redeem Naomi's land and marry Ruth. However, the man declined, fearing it would jeopardize his inheritance. Consequently, Boaz was free to redeem the land and marry Ruth, ensuring the continuation of Elimelech's family line. Boaz marries Ruth, and they have a son, Obed, who becomes King David's grandfather, placing Ruth in the lineage of Jesus Christ. While many videos may captivate you with entertainment and flashy visuals, they often leave you without real knowledge. Don't waste your time. Choose content that truly adds value to your understanding, stories that truly matter and make sense, and will make you a more informed person in any way, shape, or form. Despite its apparent acceptance, the Bible doesn't paint a rosy picture of polygamous marriages. Nearly every polygamous relationship in Scripture comes with problems. Abraham's household had conflict between Sarah and Hagar. The drama between Sarah and Hagar in Abraham's household revolves around themes of jealousy, power, and honor. Unable to conceive, Sarah gave her servant Hagar to Abraham to bear an heir, a common practice at the time. Once pregnant, Hagar's newfound status led her to look down on Sarah, causing tension and prompting Sarah to treat her harshly, forcing Hagar to flee. God intervened through his angel, promising Hagar that her son, Ishmael, would father a great nation. Later, after Sarah bore Isaac, tensions resurfaced when Ishmael mocked Isaac, leading Sarah to demand their expulsion. Abraham agreed after divine reassurance of Ishmael's future greatness. This saga underscores the complex dynamics of privilege and rivalry. Jacob's wives competed against each other for his affection. Leah and Rachel, wives of Jacob, were embroiled in a fierce rivalry driven by Jacob's favoritism towards Rachel and their contrasting fertility. Leah, feeling unloved, but bore several sons to win Jacob's affection, while Rachel, struggling with infertility, resorted to having children through her maidservant Bilhah. Leah countered by offering her maidservant Zilpah to Jacob. Their competition peaked during the Mandrake incident, where Rachel traded a night with Jacob for fertility-enhancing mandrakes found by Leah's son, Reuben. Rachel's desperation and Leah's hope for love were evident in their verbal exchanges and the naming of their sons. This rivalry significantly influenced their family dynamics and the formation of the 12 tribes of Israel. Hannah suffered because of her co-wife Peninnah's taunting. In the biblical narrative of 1 Samuel 1, Hannah and Peninnah are both wives of Elkanah. Hannah, unable to have children, faces constant taunting from Peninnah, who has several offspring. This relentless provocation causes Hannah profound distress, leading her to tears and fasting. The central drama revolves around this rivalry, with Peninnah depicted as the antagonist who bullies Hannah over her barrenness. Despite Hannah's inability to conceive, Elkanah shows a clear preference for her, intensifying the conflict. Hannah's fervent prayers were answered when God granted her a son, whom she named Samuel, meaning asked of the Lord. This narrative highlights themes of jealousy, favoritism, and the emotional turmoil stemming from having many wives and the societal pressures on women to bear children. David's many wives led to complicated politics among his children. David's numerous marriages, often politically motivated, resulted in a fragmented family with rivalries among his children from different mothers. This complex dynamic led to deep divisions and unhealthy relationships marked by jealousy and power struggles. A significant incident occurred when Amnon raped his half-sister Tamar. This act led her full brother Absalom to murder Amnon and subsequently rebel against David. In David's later years, his son Adonijah attempted to seize the throne, leading Solomon, Bathsheba's son, to secure his succession by force. These tragic events were direct outcomes of David's polygamy and the ensuing fractured family structure. It's like a soap opera of betrayal, murder, and rebellion. King Solomon's foreign wives led him astray from God, influencing him to worship other deities as he grew older. Despite divine warnings against intermarrying with foreign nations, Solomon loved many foreign women, 700 wives and 300 concubines, and permitted them to practice their religions. Consequently, he constructed high places and altars for their gods, such as Ashtoreth, Milcom, Chemosh, and Molech, and participated in their worship. This idolatry marked a spiritual decline, angering God and resulting in divine judgment. Ultimately, God promised to tear the kingdom from Solomon's descendants, marking a significant turning point in his reign. With all the problems of having many wives, it's like the Bible is saying, "I won't forbid this, but watch what happens when you try it." Fast forward to the New Testament, and the marriage script flips completely. Church leaders must be husbands of one wife, that's in 1 Timothy 3:2. Jesus himself goes back to Genesis, emphasizing how the two shall become one flesh. Notice he didn't say 3 or 4 or 700. So, were the ancient Israelites allowed to have many wives? The surprising answer is yes. Technically, the Bible shows polygamy was practiced and legally permitted. But, and this is a big but, it was never presented as God's ideal plan. It was more like God saying, "I created marriage for one man and one woman, but I'll work with you humans through your cultural mess." Think of it like this. Just because something is done by other people in the Bible doesn't mean it's prescribed. The Bible honestly shows people's complicated, messy lives, sometimes showing us what not to do. In the end, the Bible stories about polygamy aren't endorsements, but rather revealing mirrors showing us what happens when we stray from the original blueprint of marriage laid out in Genesis. And really, after seeing all the drama these multiple marriages caused, who would want more than one spouse anyway? One is complicated enough, am I right? Subscribe if you want more extraordinary stories beyond the ordinary. So, were the ancient Israelites allowed to have many wives? The Bible shows that polygamy was certainly practiced and tolerated in Old Testament times. However, it never presents it as God's ideal design for marriage. From Genesis to Jesus, the model seems to be one man and one woman.